Hey, there's no need to stress. Here's your teacher tip in 5 minutes or less. I'm Educator Barnes, and I would like to talk about building strong relationships with students. Many times we are told that is the solution to many of our problems in the classroom, but we don't necessarily get tangible ways to do that. Today, my tip is write a letter. At the beginning of the school year, for the majority of my career, I would write a letter to students. It would be a very short, friendly letter where I would tell them a little bit about my background, tell them a little bit about my interests, and then I would teach them how to write a friendly letter. And then they would write a letter back to me. And their letter that they wrote back to me was in the same order of my letter. So I would talk about, my background, my favorite things. And so their letter was supposed to mirror that. The reason why this was such a great way to make connections with students is because on that first day of school, I got to learn so many things about students that I didn't know before they walked into the door. And then I allowed them in their last paragraph to ask me questions. So not only did I read all the letters, I wrote back to the students. And I also asked the students to give the letter to their parents, which also allowed their parents to write back to me as well, or ask any questions or share things, because it's also important for parents to say, hey, here's some things that might help my kid be successful. My kid really needs to sit in the front row. My kid is best friends with so-and-so. They're in class. They really don't need to sit together. So starting the school year off like that, opening situations up, that helps me build a strong relationship, because from the jump, I know information about students. But because I was an English teacher for majority of my career, it also gave me a second layer. I also immediately got to know students' writing ability. So I was able to see, like, oh, we're gonna have to talk about run-ons, we're gonna have to talk about fragments. I was able to know which students had a limited vocabulary. So it also served an academic purpose for me as well. Now, I didn't grade for grammar, so I told the students, I'm not grading for grammar, I'm not grading for spelling. This purpose for this assignment is for me to get to know you. And that really lowers the stakes for students when they're not also thinking about, man, she's going to count for spelling, or the teacher on the first day of school is going to think I'm not good at writing. And so when I kind of set the playing field and let them know this is all about getting to know you, and then as the year goes on, I can use those letters as a place to keep information about students. Or if I'm really struggling to connect with a student, I can go back and reread the letter to see what things they're interested in. Because if you're in secondary, you could have hundreds of students. And so sometimes, as much as we try, it's hard for us to remember things about students. But having those letters on hand gives us something to go back to use as a starting point. So stay tuned for another teacher tip.